And we're back with another episode of the AC Milan Zone podcast. I've been saying this a lot, but it's that kind of season. Top of the league once more, momentarily, as we await for the Cugini Rossoneri to play Atalanta. No, they already played Atalanta. Who are they playing?
Good question. Who are they playing? They're such an irrelevant team.
They played last weekend. Oh my god, I'm so unprepared.
It's almost like we whipped this up last minute. It's against Bologna at home
It's against Bologna. I remember it was going to be a big game.
tomorrow evening.
We're hoping
Yeah.
that Vincenzo Italiano keeps working his magic. There's another big game with Lazio and Napoli. That one I remember. So hopefully some points lost across the board, but not from us. In a very much what felt like a trap game, the boys put it through. The title of the video says "Masterclass" from Allegri, and I've seen a lot of discussion online about how could it have been. What did you think about the game? Very much a little bit of an emergency in terms of the player that we had available, but we pulled it through.
Yeah. No, I mean it's 3 points. End of the day. I think yesterday jumping on live gave us didn't give us much time to, I guess, analyze and really let it settle
Yeah.
how we played. I thought we perhaps were a bit too negative on the podcast, at least myself. I'm not known to be pessimistic, of course not. But I thought having seen some breakdowns from various people and really understanding, like you say, the emergency sort of the plasters that we put on in that team, I thought it was pretty well executed. We're not an exciting team to watch. I don't think we necessarily have been any part of the season, but we are trying to do the best with what we've got. We're currently top of the Serie A. We're winning 1-0s most games. We're now seeing that we can play against worse opposition in these games that should be 3 points and get away with it. I shouldn't say get away with it because I mean with Cagliari we're limited to very few chances. I can't remember exactly how many shots on target it was. Estupinian in the first sort of 90-ish seconds that gave away
Yeah,
some good chances for
rough
them
first
that
90 seconds, absolutely, for all of us, to be honest.
for all of us. But then having slept on it now of quite almost sort of 20-ish hours later, whatever. I thought it was some good performances. Modric is pure class. One word, pure class. Um, yeah, I'm quite happy, to be honest, with the performance in a way.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I've been slept on it, and I'm going back to watch it. Look, the first half was still rough. I think there are some baked in excuses. I think it's like everything in life, not black and white. I think some of the excuses are valid. It's a Leao that's fighting with a problem that definitely would not have been playing if everyone was healthy. He was not allowed to change direction too quickly or sprint, which, if you have ever watched Rafael play, it's kind of the main part of his game, most would say,
Yeah.
to avoid the pubalgia. Paired up top with Lubin Cheek, who was once again sort of not present for a lot of the game.
Ruben Loftus Cheek was Ruben Loftus cheeking.
Yeah, honestly, which is kind of his default at this point. So I think this is, after so many performances, you have to, kind of take a player by what he shows, and this is what he's showing. The whole left side with Stupinian, as you said, Battesaghi, Coni de Winter. I think in our reactions we talked about them looking scared, and that's still true. I think as I look back in the beginning, but. And then maybe we can jump straight into Stefano's highly underrated player of the game. And it's going to be cheating because this is what I do. But honestly, on Davide Bartesaghi and Coni de Winter, I thought they were both very much more comfortable. Now, the bar isn't set super high, especially for de Winter, who's had a few shocking performances. So, it can only go up from here, hopefully. But I thought he looked again, sort of sleeping in it and looking back, comfortable. He looked comfortable with the ball, which even in his best performances in a Milan shirt so far, he had never been. On the right side going up, I do think his position is definitely as a second to Tomori. But he looked comfortable, and Bartesaghi was also solid and definitely a position that he could play. We know he played it, has played a lot center back with the Primavera. But this, I think, confirms that he can play in this league, definitely these levels with sort of the lower to mid table teams in that position. So to me, that's that. Maybe I can scroll down on the foot mob. Um, you were talking about Modric. I would add also Rabiot. I think the combination of the two,
Yeah.
Rabiot gets the assist. But if you look at his heat map, he's meant to be a left mezzala, but he was all over the pitch because he most of the time was picking up Prati, who was playing on the right side. He's just all over, and it helps so much. Also defensively. Talk a little bit about that midfield duo. If I wanted to highlight the Barzagli de Winter, not great, but a decent, I thought, good performance. Talk
Yeah.
about the strength of those, of our midfield in general, but especially those two.
Yeah, I think both of them are quite sort of humble players. They make the easy, oh the, yeah, they make the hard look easy, but also make the easy just execute that very well.
Mm-hmm.
They're two different types of players. They work so well together. You can see that Rabiot has played in some very good midfields, both at Juventus and PSG back in
Yeah.
the day. Modric doesn't need to be in the limelight all the time, but he's always available for a short pass. He can read the game so well. He drops his shoulder. He knows exactly when to pass, when not to pass, when to collect the ball. When he, even such small things, you see him off the ball, because you always have to be aware of Modric because of who he is. He's a Ballon d'Or winner, was at 5 Champions Leagues, etc. Brought
Mm-hmm.
Croatia to a World Cup final. If he, he drops in a bit, you need Cagliari obviously has to go mark him straight away, and that creates a space for someone else to drop in to collect the ball. Rabiot is just an absolute engine. The guy's got a beautiful V12 of a pair of lungs. He's quite good on the ball. He's quite good defensively in the air. He's quite all round. They just work so well together. And then, I wouldn't say Fofana had a terrible game. We're not the biggest fans, but I think, yeah, it was him who unlocked for the
I was gonna
Leao
say,
goal. He doesn't get the assist, but that sort of mini through ball looks quite nice. And he he
and something
does he
that,
does his work in the shadows.
yeah, and something that we've seen Ruben Loftus-Cheek consistently not do. So
Exactly. Yeah.
maybe I know I'm probably still the last Fofana defender, but there is class. Again, people like to just see the clips and make fun of the ball that's skied over the crossbar, but there is a good midfielder, not just an engine there. So I'm glad you
Yeah.
pointed out. Um,
Yeah, and then I think we signed him. And I mean, if we look at all the Welcome to Milan compilations from when he came from Monaco, it was a lot more of a not only just like a ball winner and engine player, like you say. He actually can execute a very good through pass. Sometimes even drop deep for Monaco, made runs of like 50, 60 meters odd, and can deliver in the final third. We perhaps haven't seen all of that yet in the 1.5-ish seasons, right? But you can see that there is some class on the ball with him.
And then I think obviously we're due to speak uh, of the score. Rafa Leao, his numbers have been quite good, despite kind of like Pulisic, honestly, despite the lack of minutes because of injury. A tough performance, of course, tough for any strikers, especially one on one leg that can sprint. In terms of just finding space and being able to get involved. But Allegri spoke a little bit about him and said, yeah, look, when he played on the left, people say plays his best, but he had flashes of brilliance, but he can also kind of get out of the game and allow himself to drift out of the game. When he's playing more centrally, he's more focused, and you see him, make the most of his chances. What did you think of his
Yeah.
performance? And his goal scoring prowess at this point? I mean, again, like Pulisic, it's very few minutes, but quite a lot of goals.
Yeah, he's turning out to be a very effective. I think the lack of playing minutes, you can kind of see it. He always has to come back into the stride. We sure he wasn't 100% fit, playing on quite a poor Cagliari pitch. Not that it's been raining, but it's raining for both team if so. But I think sometimes you can see that he's been out for about 2 3 games. He comes in, there's some things that he needs to get going again. I think it was like the 21st minute. Doesn't really judge his run for an offside, for the offside goal, I believe, right? So there are small things that he could perhaps improve, but he gets a goal for us, but perhaps a bit lucky in a way because he kind of slips, but he's already fired the shot. I'm not gonna sit here and complain about body language the whole time. I am a Rafael fan, but in the first half, I think he tries to do. He's up against two Cali defenders. He tries to do a step over. Ruben Loftus-Cheek kind of makes a run in behind him to the left, and Leao misplaces the pass, and he just kind of stands there, flays up his arms, and like kind of points at Ruben Loftus-Cheek like this with his arm. Doesn't chase back and try to get the ball. That's literally the only real point I have, or point of criticism for him in this game. It was a tough game as a striker. I think Cagliari did pretty well to keep him limited, and you can clearly see that something is still bugging him in the injury.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about this in the reactions a little bit. Played the minimum amount of minutes needed. As soon as we got the goal, Max opted to sub him. Still, he found himself in a good position, which again is the point of a striker. We talk about Pulisic doing this. We talk about Nkuku when he scored his brace, and ultimately, slots the ball home. We keep saying this, we're broken records. I'm so looking forward to having Rafael and Pulisic together. Even though I still think, and this I think is going to be true until the end, we look best when we have a proper striker. Even if the striker isn't great or not performing great, like Santi Jimenez and like Fulkrug, who we'll get on in a minute. I do think, yes, I want to see those two together. I want to see them firing on all cylinders. Now, both of the injuries are sort of mysterious, so will that ever happen? Remains to be seen. But we will see. Now, if we do want to briefly speak about Oscar's pessimistic corner, who didn't light the world on fire for you? And I'll put you center stage for this.
My pessimistic corner. I think it would be easy to just say Estupinian. He just doesn't do anything. I think I'm a broken record. I did point this out. He just doesn't add anything. I feel like he's not good defensively. He's not good off the ball. He's not good on the ball. His first 90 minutes from first 90 seconds, even the whole team was quite diabolical, making these silly ball losses.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to read the play well. He seems to be scanning all the time, just for absolutely no reason. He looks scared of the ball. He can't really track runners. A bit of a liability in both ends, because when we finally get into the final third, he doesn't have that class to not pinpoint a perfect cross, but either he loses the ball silly by trying to dribble when there is no space, or he gives off a pass that is perhaps just 30-40 centimeters too slow, or too wide of a player that stops our momentum. Small things like that, which eventually adds up to a poor performance overall. In a game where, you know what, I think, I'm not sure I can speak or attest to Estupinan's character. I'm sure he's a very nice guy, but he's been out competed by a 19-year-old that probably wasn't planned to be playing so much. And now finally they're both on the pitch at the same time, because Bartesaghi needs to plug holes at the left centre back position, which I think he did quite well. Here is where Estupiñán shines against a poorer team when we've had a lot of injuries, and boom. I don't think if obviously Gabriel had some minutes, Gabriel comes back into the starting 11, Estupiñán will be on the bench and Bartesaghi back out to the left wing position. He's not helping himself.
Yeah.
It's like Allegri has been trying to give him minutes. It's not that he's completely just dying on the hill of starting Bartesaghi. Estupiñán just doesn't show why he belongs in a team that is first or sometimes second in a Scudetto run.
Yeah, I have to agree. It seems like he's the type of player that needs a few games to sort of get going. We saw that at the beginning of the season. But I tend to agree. I think it's always concerning. It's like Bartesaghi is not a perfect player. He has his flaws, but you can see that there is some positives there. You're like, okay, he's good marking. definitely is going forward. He looks a little bit lost. He's not progressed with the ball kind of player. He's not Theo Hernandez, but he has some good crossing. With Estupinian, if everything goes well, you're like, okay, that was a solid cross. That was a solid run. Solid defensively, if everything goes well. But there's nothing he excels at. And that makes it
No.
really rough because, yeah, it's sort of exactly as you said. If he's a solid night, he's just kind of like a C plus, or a B on the very best nights. But you
Yeah.
struggle to see a world in which he's an A. Not even every game, but just every now and then, which
And it's
makes
and it's
go for it.
And it's not even just the stats that he's not scoring goals or doing assists. We're just praising Fofana that he started off that attack that eventually ended up in a goal. He doesn't even do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
that he's making these overlapping runs, which means the Cagliari defenders being dragged out wide so that Leao can have the space to go 1-on-1 and then slots it in. It's none of that. It's just nothing. It's pure. It's nothing. He
Yeah,
just doesn't add anything.
yeah.
Sorry, I sound really angry. I'm not
No,
really
no,
that
no, no,
angry,
no. But
but
it's, I mean,
it's
I think it's
it's
fine
another
when you're like,
wasted
okay, he's gonna
investment.
get rotational minutes against middle of the league teams. But then you look at the price tag and
Yeah,
you're like, man, we gave up Theo and spent the 20 for him when we
yeah,
could have got an Italian or at least EU player for much cheaper to develop. This seems like another one of those rotation quick changes from Redbird. I hate that so many of our players last 6 months to a year now. But it looks to me like Estupinian could definitely, maybe make it past a year if he stays past the summer window. Although I think depending on what we end up doing with our manager information and so on, I could see him go out the door. But definitely, if
yeah.
not within 18 months.
It screams Getafe loan or something like that. La Liga
Yeah,
lower team,
Emerson Royale
lower mid-table
treatment,
team.
Kyle Walker treatment,
Yeah, go
and
to
all that.
Besiktas.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
And again, I have to agree. Not that he had a terrible game, honestly. It wasn't bad. It's just you look at the entirety of the season, you're like, there's not much to offer there for that price.
yeah.
Um,
He's not great when Milan are at their best, but he's also not playing well when the rest of the team is slacking. Do you know what I mean? Or
yeah,
not playing up to par.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, totally agree. I'm curious to see if the Mercato obviously will bring. I doubt they're gonna focus on a left winger or a left wing back. It's probably gonna be more of a center back, which we need. I don't know if you caught Max Allegri's words after the game. He was asked about a center back, and he said, "No, we have Odogu. The winter's doing great." Which, of course, this is Max. He never trashes his player or goes, disagrees from the team. I'm sure he would. He's made his wishes known to Tade and the management, but he was vehemently saying that we don't need it. I haven't heard any particular rumors so far. And we do seem to be a team that's usually pretty, unfortunately, pretty transparent in terms of the Moretto always seems to know ahead of time. So the fact that we haven't heard
Yeah,
anything kind of worries me. Obviously, it's just the beginning of January. The month is long. We will see what it brings. But we have a lot of games coming up, even without the multiple competitions. We will be playing really a lot. So we saw Gabbia make his return yesterday. Hopefully he's able to get back to the 90 minutes already from Genoa. But it's Genoa on the 8th, so that's already in 5 days. Then Fiorentina on the 11th, Como on 15th, Lecce 18th, and then finally that's the biggest break we get on the 25th, Roma. So it comes thick and fast. I was thinking about it as I was taking more time and looking at this. Obviously, I think it's going to be such a close race with Napoli and Inter, but also, it's a slow Serie A, so you never know if Roma wakes up, if Juventus wakes up, and who else. So I do think it will go down to the end. But I could see this next few stretch kind of decide a lot of the Scudetto race, so at least tell us much more clearly who's really in it. It's a lot of games. They come in very
yeah,
quickly. The Champions League teams are going to have Champions League later on in the month as well. Our calendar is a little bit easier, at least in the beginning, especially with the games we already played, because we had so many scontri diretti, direct matches against the top sides of the table. Um, a lot of big matches for the others, which is very good for us. Do you think that our, at least our, I don't know about everyone else's, I think Inter and Napoli, no matter what, will be in until the end. Scudetto hopes will be either made or shattered in the next, 3 to 4 games. Not necessarily because of opposition, but just, yeah, just how packed the calendar is.
Yeah, it's that time of year where we're at the halfway point. Teams have properly figured out who's their starting 11. Injuries are creeping in, but they've really cemented a way of
Mm.
playing, and we have passed our worst, I guess, our hardest opposition, sort of stretch of games. It's these games where we are quite lucky not to have any Coppa Italia anymore. We don't have any European football while the other teams do, and they're probably stretching on personnel. And it's here where the dreams come and die in a way, because then we know we're kind of serious about it. We know how well, we have the expectations of, you know what, for top four is definitely in our sight, or even Scudetto's even in our sight, and other teams are losing points out against each other. Let's see what Inter do against Bologna, for example, tonight.
Yeah.
It's now come to that point where we'll be looking at oppositions and who they're playing and who they're dropping points against, and just keep the engine running, because now the engine is up and running. Just keep it in flow state and collect as many points as possible. Yeah, it is that point of the year, that time of the year.
Agreed. I think honestly, this is most of the game. I do want to get, of course, onto Fulkrug. However, he did make his Milan debut early on. Of course, he came in with Christian Pulisic. During a live reaction, we talked about him not doing much, but looking better than Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Going back, I do have to say, um, I liked him more in retrospect. I don't know. Again, not necessarily set the world on fire, but just the fact
Yeah.
that he's controlled a couple long balls, some held up play and lay it off. Now this is basic striker stuff. I realize that, but for us Milan
We're
fan,
excited. We're excited about this one.
yeah, honestly, for us Milan fans who've had to suffer through, and this is not a dig on Nkunku. Nkunku is small and being asked the job that he shouldn't be. But throwing long balls at him and him, trying to seeing him fighting for these headers and not winning a lot. Seeing a big body, kind of manhandle defender, put a ball down, lay it off to a running Pulisic, gives us hope. I think so. That was, that was, to me, that was very, very good. And I'm curious to see. I think he will get, with how everyone's hurt, I think he will get a lot of minutes. I'm very curious to see how he does with Pulisic. I'm very curious to see how he does with Leao, who's always had to play either with Nkunku and Loftus-Cheek, which is maybe not the ideal partners for him. But again, very little things, but I liked what he had to bring. And I do think, I do think this is what Max was looking for, right? Definitely not a world-class player, but just someone who gives them a different option up there. Did you sort of change your mind, or did you see it differently after sleeping on it in terms of Fulkrug's performance?
I mean, not really. I don't think there's much to expect from 20 minutes away against Cagliari after having
Fair.
two training sessions. And I think people are more than welcome to get excited. But I think you highlighted it, that we're getting excited for the very little things, purely because we get to see Ruben Loftus-Cheek week in, week out, almost in that position, and it's not really his fault. And yeah, he's probably fighting to get back into the Germany World Cup squad, right?
Yeah.
Even though because I wouldn't say they're stacked in the forward position. They've got quite a lot of center attacking midfielders in Verts and Musiala, etc.
Yeah.
But at least make the squad. It might not be a starter, so he's got something to prove. And I know that all the West Ham fans have been slating him, saying "good riddance," basically get out of our club. But apart from Mikel Antonio, who have they ever produced or allowed to flourish? It's kind of scandalous how that club isn't better than it is. I know they don't have their own stadium necessarily, but they're still a London team with Premier League money. Yes, they won the Europa, or they won the Conference League. So Congratulations. But I'm excited to see a proper number nine that isn't Nkunku, that isn't Jimenez, who is on zero. Well, now he's obviously injured, but on zero motivation, or not motivation, but zero confidence. Um, and it could keep, if we keep on playing him as a starting role, well, proper number nine, like you say, with a Leao or with a Pulisic that is somewhat healthy, then that's going to be fantastic for us and a well needed boost.
Yeah, totally agreed. I do think, yeah, I mean, the World Cup, I think, changes a lot. Again, this means nothing because we hear these sort of rumors all the time. But what's been written about the trainings, the few trainings that he's been in Milanello, is that a lot of
Yeah.
the training staff is impressed with his condition, which is hilarious because obviously we heard a lot of bad things from West Ham. I do think also West Ham is not exactly the place where a player like Fulkrug, who again definitely not world class already, but in terms of playing style, it's not exactly what I would see him flourish in a fast paced Premier League for a team that struggles to create fluidly. I wouldn't want a
Yeah.
player like him up there, so that's not
No.
shocking at all.
Yeah,
For
he doesn't
us,
really carry a team or an attack by himself, I don't think. He
yes,
won't do that for us either. He
yeah,
is more of,
absolutely. And that's but
yeah,
hopefully Max is smart enough to sort of realize that that's now what he should be asking of his player, of this type of player at
yeah.
least. To catch up with the chat quickly, apples are green. Thank you for tuning in. Is it just me or does Ruben Loftus-Cheek look like he might fall over every time he goes on a run or dribble?
Yeah,
Yes.
very true.
Again, you look at the stats and you see, oh, he's 190, 191. Lautaro Martinez is like 165, 167, 170, 175, 177, excuse me. You look how Lautaro plays and you're like, oh man, this might be the strongest man alive. Defenders just bounce off of him. He wins every duel 1-on-1. You're gonna double him. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is could eat on the top of the head of Lautaro Martinez. Yet it seems like every shoulder to shoulder he goes flying, or he's stripping, or the pitch makes him slip. Now the pitch was terrible yesterday, to be fair.
Yeah,
But yes, this is
we mustn't forget it's been raining.
mustn't forget it's been raining. Clearly, yeah. You're preaching to the choir. Apples are green. This is why. This is why, honestly, if we see one of the midfielder leave, I don't mind. If we need to make some money for a decent center back or want to sell and get a new striker or whatever, if Ruben Loftus-Cheek wants to go get his minutes somewhere else to try to make the England World Cup, good riddance.
Sure.
More minutes
Yeah,
for Jashari will be fine. It's not like Ruben Loftus-Cheek hasn't been injured anyway, even playing very little minutes. So it's not like he's like, oh, we need to keep him there because he's evergreen. He's absolutely not. Yeah, no, preaching to the choir. There's a couple stats that I wanted to bring up to you that I thought were interesting before we move on to our Genoa preview. First of all, I brought this up to you and now I've double checked it and it's definitely correct. And this continues the tradition. Yesterday, once again, we score on our first shot on target for the 12th match this season. This happens,
wow,
which
crazy.
is kind of crazy, really, really wild. It says a lot about perhaps how little we create. It says a lot about maybe, creating very good chances. It says a lot maybe about the theory that we were talking about often. Allegri doesn't mind, especially in games that he doesn't have his starting 11 and doesn't feel so strong. Like yesterday, he doesn't mind a slow game. He doesn't mind a first half where we don't create. As long as we did take the tempo, we have the ball, we have no risk of conceding, which is what happened yesterday beyond the first 90 seconds. Because he's trust in his big players to make it happen, and especially against the smaller teams, he has the trust that when we turn it on, and this often happens at the beginning of the second half, we sort of turn on the turbo, get a goal in. Hopefully, eventually down the line of the season, that one goal in can become 2 or 3 to be a little bit more safe and to play more games like against Hellas rather than yesterday. But isn't it crazy? 12 games, we've played 17. 12 times we scored on the first shot on target. What do you make of it?
I think it can be worrying. I think it would have been more worrying, let's say, if it was our seventh game or our eighth game or something like that. But now it seems to be almost, I shouldn't say a tactic, but perhaps a bit worrying. But again, I think that goes to show that maybe Allegri is quite good at switching things up, and then once he switches it up, we finally find a goal. We've had, was it 6 or 7 different forward combinations,
Yeah.
whether that be Santi Jimenez with Nkunku, or Nkunku with Pulisic, or Pulisic with Leao, or Leao with Jimenez, or Leao with Ruben Loftus-Cheek, or Jimenez with Ruben Loftus-Cheek. So that just goes to show, maybe it's that chemistry up top that we haven't had. Therefore, we haven't gotten to these chances in the final third, but where, god damn it, we're effective in a way.
Yeah.
And end of the day, I can't really. It's a good fact. I'm not a good stat. I'm not trying to to be rude to you, but it also doesn't give me perspective onto other teams. But I can imagine that that's extremely high in terms of first
Yeah.
shot on target, first goal,
Yeah.
12 games out of 17.
Yeah.
Um, I think it doesn't really beat Hugo Sanchez in Real Madrid in the 70s, wherever, who scored 20 out of his 22 goals with his first touch. But those type of stats are kind of crazy. But
Yeah.
could be worrying. But at the end of the day, we are first in the league. So
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe
It
other
works
teams
so
should
far.
adopt that
We'll
strategy.
see. The Allegri haters say that we create too little and it's gonna eventually bite us in the behind. Very possible. I think you're right in terms of pointing out context. Just this, you don't take the statistics and you just make up your conclusion. Um, I think when I see games where we should create more and we have the people on the pitch and we don't put them away, it gets worrying. And I think in a game like yesterday, where the players that we had were out there, and there's a lot of players playing out of positions, and a lot of players that in Allegri's good world they don't play at all. So I'll take it. But some more interesting stats. Obviously, 16th consecutive what the Italians call risultato utile, meaning points in Serie A. Only one loss, 2.25 points average away from home, which is great. Now we need to get going at San Siro, and we've never been particularly great Serie A team in San Siro in recent years, since maybe the Pioli year, Scudetto year, but again, that was COVID, so there was an empty San Siro. San Siro this year also started with the lack of tifo, so maybe that impacted it. But I thought that was interesting. And the last one, and then I can leave the word to you and move on. Allegri cracks in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and becomes the sixth longest unbeaten streak since 1990. With 16 in a row now. Obviously, we started off with the loss against Cremonese, and then 16 unbeaten. Above him are Pioli at 17 in 2021, Ancelotti in 2004 at 18, and then Pioli 2022 he had 22 in a row, and Pioli in 2020 and 2021 at 27 in a row, before obviously Capello, who has a 58 because he had very good ones, and then the whole unbeaten, obviously invincible season that we had. But there's a good
That is
chance.
never mentioned. That is never mentioned anywhere really in Serie A, or it's always the Arsenal fans bringing up their incredible invincible season. Like, brother,
Yes,
it's been
like no
done
one has
before.
ever done
Let's
it.
calm down. Yeah, it's
But he
happened.
won't catch
Yeah.
Capello. Pioli, the 27 and 22 no losses consecutive is tough, but he needs 2 games to pass the third Pioli streak and Ancelotti. So is it possible that we go unbeaten against Genoa and Fiorentina? Definitely. They're two at the moment.
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
This is true. Ooh, I think, unfortunately. Oh, okay. I think we're still live. I just don't see anything on OBS, but that's fine. Probably. Yeah, I still hear myself on YouTube. So we're
I
going in
can. I
blind,
can.
but
I can
that's
hear
fine.
you. Yes.
Yeah, so I wonder if it goes back up. We will see. Do you want to add anything else, or do you want to move on to Milan
No, I
Genoa?
think we should go straight into Milan Genoa.
Absolutely, let's do it. So we're back at a night game. I think it's the 8th, which is Thursday, maybe. Yes, it is
Should
Thursday.
be. Yeah.
Genoa fired Vieira, who was playing some terrible football. Now De Rossi, they got the De Rossi boost, but have been struggling now for a little while. What do you make of them, and do you think we're getting this win?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember back to our end of year recap whether I think I may have put them into the relegation zone. I think quite a few. I think, was it Alexa, Dib Alexa, and Uncle Sharma. I think both of them might have done, and I think Did you put them into the relegation or to be relegated end of the season? Perhaps.
I
But
think I had Pisa, Fiorentina, and yeah, maybe Genoa. I don't remember.
Hellas. Okay, yeah, no, but it should be 3 points for us. I don't think we acquired any more injuries so far from the game.
Yeah, who
I
knows though?
think Leao has. Yeah, who knows? Leao will probably be hobbling up. Pulisic got some time, so maybe he'll be fit. Gabia we might see him in return because we've got, it's been Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 5 days where Gabia can continue his match fitness so that he can be starting, and we move Bartasaki out left wing back, and we start to see a bit more of our proper starting 11. So 3 points should be in the bag. We're playing at home, evening game. We love an evening game. Those 12:30 games are either absolutely dreadful or a 3-0 victory for us. So Thursday, strange. Why are they doing this? I'm trying to remember why. Or is there
I think there's
probably
just so
pileup
many
coming in?
so many games that they're gonna
Yeah,
spread them out. And later on, I
it's
think
probably
it's
a
easier to put us early because later on there's the Champions League games
yeah,
that we don't have to take part of. So
yeah,
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 that's about it.
yeah. No, I expect 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of has to be 3 points if the line is that we want to win the Scudetto. I put up some on the screen some of the FUMOB statistics. They have scored four goals in the last 5 matches, which maybe is a reason for concern. But having kept a clean sheet in 11 matches and have lost the last 3. Obviously, last game was tough because they got their goalkeeper sent off just a few seconds in. And then Roma kind of absolutely destroyed them. But yeah, it's as simple as if you want to win the Scudetto at home, you find a way to win. I surely do. There's not a big turnaround, but we have some time. I sure hope that we can get, one of Leao, Pulisic, and Nkunku to be able to play to their maximum performance and maximum ability. We will see, but yeah, remains to be seen. Then I think we can get into predictions. Would you like to go first, or should I do the honors?
You may do the honors. You may. We're new year, a new. I shouldn't say new podcast, new setup. That's not true. It's the same old, same old. But I'm gonna let you go first. Age before beauty. You're neither, but
So whoa, okay.
uh,
It's kind of tough without knowing who plays. I feel like, I mean, not that we get them all right all the time, but I feel like it's easier when you know roughly who's gonna play. And up top right now, it's so hard to say because if it's like another situation like this where we have one of Pulisic now sort of playing hobbled and Ruben Loftus-Cheek or Fulkrug being thrown up there, I can see another 1-0. Cortomuso, Allegri win, perhaps the same idea of just survive. But I don't know, they concede so much. Clean sheet though. Gabbia likely to be back, I'm guessing, if he had some minutes in this game, which I think helps us a lot at home. Clean sheet for us. 2-0. Fulkrug scores. And whoever, either Rafa or Pulisic, whoever is able to play, I think gets the other goal.
so can you recap that? So you say clean sheet. So therefore, who scores?
Clean sheet, 2-0 Milan victory, Fulkrug scores, and whoever plays between Rafa and Pulisic.
Okay, that sounds pretty reasonable. We love Fulkrug starting debut or start maybe probably starting. He gets his first San Siro goal.
Honestly,
We
might,
love to
yeah.
see that. I'm gonna be boring and say 2-0 as well. I think we don't really copy each other anymore,
This is
really,
true. We try
on
not
the
to, but
podcast.
that's
We
fair.
we agree a lot. We agree a lot when it comes to predictions. We've been switching it up, and been getting it right sometimes. 2-0 Milan victory. Fulkrug gets a goal, and I'm gonna say Modric gets a goal as well.
Honestly, we've been yearning for a Modric goal. He's got his first one. He should have gotten the one where Nkunku
The
eventually puts it
post.
away. That was a beautiful shot. He doesn't get forward a lot, but I'm hoping against a Genoa team at home we can push up a lot. We've been seeing our midfielders get more involved. We saw how in this goal Fofana was got the hockey assist and was very important, and Rabiot obviously getting
Yeah.
the final assist. So I back that. I could see it a midfielder goal.
Yeah.
Then we'll leave it at that. We'll try to get a live match reaction from both of us or one of us on after the game, and then of course we will see you after the game for the full podcast and breakdown. Ozzy, it's been a pleasure as always, and
It
we
has
can
been.
leave it at
Forza
that.
Milan.
And as always, Forza Milan.